Hello and welcome to Auto Asphyxiation. It is Lark.
And Kimberly.
That's right. Another exciting adventure. It can't believe it's September. It's not even summer anymore. The summer just went by really quickly and I'm really in shock. Are we in fall yet or no?
Not quite yet. No, I think the 21st is when the vernal equinox is, and we're in fall. Or autumnal equinox. The vernal is the spring one. Sorry, listeners, I was wrong. Um, but yeah, no, we're not ri quite in fall yet, but yeah, the summer sure did fly by.
Well, and all we have having all this excitement happening. We're going to have to talk about something quite exciting. The NESE, Northeast Supply Enhancement Pipeline, or I think they're calling it NESE by the Williams Transco. I'm going to give some background information on the transportation gas pipeline is a natural gas pipeline which brings gas from the Gulf of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania to deliver gas to the New Jersey, New York City area. That doesn't seem quite right. We got that from Wikipedia, but hey, let's see. Well, somebody said that the New York, New Jersey area. What does that mean? That's weird how we're the same place sometimes, and sometimes we're not the same place. The Williams Company is an American energy company based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Its core business is natural gas, processing, transportation with additional petroleum, and it's a Fortune 500 company. All right. So I know it's like so do you have a short answer of what it is?
It is a gas and electric company, I guess. And they're attempting to revitalize a zombie pipeline in New that crosses New Jersey. That has already twice been killed. But they just keep resubmitting the paperwork and just keep trying for it to go through.
And here's the thing that I kind of think is just really interesting. I'm like, so New Jersey, this is for New Jersey, and actually, no, we don't. New Jersey doesn't get any heat, no gas, no nothing. It doesn't even. I thought that as a very minimum, and New Jersey would get something out of it. And I'm like, when is New Jersey going to stop being a handmaiden to New York? I
Uh,
mean,
that part.
it is wild to me. I'm like, how? So we're not even getting any of this gas? Like it's like, okay, we're going through all of this and we don't even get any of it. So we get all of the pollution, all of the hazards, all of the environmental damage, and I mean kind of like what is going on? Like what kind of like risk are we talking about? Like I mean I know we all know, but we still have to go over it because this is a show. We're trying to inform the public.
There is this pipeline crosses from Pennsylvania through the New Jersey along the seabed in the Raritan Bay into Queens, New York. So yes, a handmaid, if you will, to New York City. There's as well as the pipeline, there's a compressor station that's to be built in Franklin Township. That has the potentiality to release toxic air pollutants as well as risks of explosion. There's the dredging of the Raritan Bay, and I don't know if you know, but there's parts of the Raritan Bay that were a Superfund site or are a Superfund site that a lot of work, a lot of money has been spent to help clean that up. And the sediment actually does a lot of the work of cleaning up the water uh for us. And if the Raritan Bay is dredged, it absolutely will release toxic sediments, heavy metals, PCBs. This puts a lot of harm to the fisheries around the Raritan Bay. The Raritan Bay is a huge ecosystem in New Jersey and the northeastern seaboard. If you can kind of compare it to Chesapeake Bay in some ways, there is a lot of fisheries, both recreationally and also like where we get food from. Clams are a big thing that come out of Raritan Bay. And clams also provide an important water filtration source. They're a really important kind of animal that helps clean up our mess for us, as well as I know I just got back from down the shore, and every place had big bags of clams that you could buy. So, and I'm sure that they were from the Raritan Bay. So this is a lot of risk to New Jersey with little to no reward.
And then it's like, okay, say New Jersey was going to get something, okay? Like, so like, say it wasn't about like, hey, you're just using us. But it's like independent studies, like even in New York State have questioned like, is this pipeline needed? Like energy in the region is flattening. And we're trying to become efficient with efficient electrification and renewable energy could meet the future costs without this new fossil fuel infrastructure. Environmentalists have stated that the NESE project is a bridge to nowhere, pouring billions into old energy systems instead of investing in clean energy. It essentially like makes our fossil fuel dependence like worse. And you always talked about the fishing. It's like so it's like the William Corp company is like profits from building this pipeline, and then I guess like there's a national grid. Like what's going? The national grid gets like they get more gas from that, or
National Grid gets more gas from it. The Williams Company, of course, makes profit off of it. Real estate developers also, because they don't have to change over to clean energy for newer buildings. They get to kind of save money on that, if you will. It's not really saving money, it's more of a loophole where they get more money. And then you have, of course, the fu fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry is continuing to gain more donations, more political influence, and more power over what happens in the United States and how we get our energy and how we clean or continue to pollute our planet.
this is just like to me, it's just terrifying. We're trying to go back, not going back. We're trying, well, actually trying to take it back to nature, but we're trying to do renewable energies, do electrification, kind of get away from fossil fuel, get away from this oil that's causing, just so much destruction to the planet, to our social relations, internationally and nationally. And like, we think about who's paying for this because, similar to me, like the Williams company is just getting profit. And the residents near the compressor station, coastal community who depend on the fishing and the clean water, renters and ratepayers who are going to see their utilities costs rise. And also, too, the future, like the climate crisis, like I'm confused as to why profit continues to be more important than people and our ecosystems and all of these things. And like, why are we bearing all these costs for, I think, a quick dollar, not even a quick dollar, but it is, this really impacts this project will really impact the climate. Like, I mean, it's natural gas is mostly methane, and is it more dangerous than carbon
Methane
dioxide?
is
Go ahead.
tremendously dangerous. And let's also like this is also like natural gas is also obtained through fracking. And we already know how dangerous fracking is to the environment, to the climate, to our geology in some cases. New gas infrastructure always equals more leaks. And it's methane is 80 times more potent in the short term than CO2 gases. So, you're talking about not just like continuing climate warming, but you're talking about accelerating climate warming. There is no gas company or oil company who has made or been able to make a 100% leak-free pipeline. They will absolutely leak. It increases our dependence on them. The more that fossil fuel energy is around and the less that we see renewable forms of energy, the more that we're dependent on those fossil fuels.
No, this is like to me, it's just terrifying to me that even now we are doing this. We're doing like it's like, we are creating this infrastructure where we're going to depend again, we're going to depend on on oil and sorry, on natural gas. And this is, and as New York like New York has said it, they don't need this because actually, again, let's us restate again. This is going to be for New York City and Long Island. This is not even going to be for Pennsylvania or okay, I'm just guessing. I know for sure not going to be from New Jersey. We're just going through New Jersey. It's being viewed as this weird thing where it's like we're just using you, going through you. And I'm trying to see like, are we even getting well, clearly someone in New Jersey is getting paid for this. I didn't really look into that that aspect of it because I can't see why you would just do this, not give us any gas, pollute our waters, put our people at risk, and some money not have changed hands at some point. So like, what would this gas be used for? I mean, this natural gas from pipeline. What are they using it for?
It's mostly for heating homes and businesses and hot water in New York. There's some that is supposed to go to power plants and maybe some restaurants and households for cooking. And the company that wants to extend the pipeline that keeps trying to revitalize this zombie pipeline um, frames this project as reliability because it's not really necessary. So they frame it as reliability. But in reality, we know that it's about keeping people hooked to old tech rather than moving towards cleaner, cheaper alternatives.
It's like weird. They always talk about disruption, like disruption, disruption, except for when it comes to like fossil fuel. Then all of a sudden the whole disruption thing just goes away. They don't care about disruption. And their thing is that there are alternatives that exist. I mean, we have electric heat pumps, geothermal. We have electric water heaters. I mean, there's like there's you could retrofit buildings. You can replace gas stoves with induction stoves and electric dryers. You can upgrade insulation, windows, I'm for the to reducing heating demands. You can ventilation, upgrading the insulation, the windows. I mean, there are so many things that we can do, and that we're not doing. I think about like in regards to there's wind and solar, which I know we've had so much drama with the whole wind thing.
Well,
What do people say about the wind that's going to happen?
oh, there's something about cancer or the birds or something like that. And, there is a risk of bird strikes, but they found that, painting one of the turbines black can reduce bird strikes significantly. And I was reading also that Governor Hochul is in talks with the Trump administration to possibly allow this pipeline to go through in exchange for some offshore wind farms that the funding has been clamped down on. And that's not an exchange that anybody at this stage of the game should be willing to make, Governor Hochul. Like that's just really not. And I generally like Governor Hochul. But this is definitely a decision that or a talk that she's having that I don't agree with, and I would highly recommend that she not take the bait.
And here's we all know that every time you make a deal with this administration, they always screw us. Like every single time, this administration doesn't make deals. They essentially just, they do bamboozle, they do like fraud. They just do fraud. That's essentially. I wish I could have a fancy name for it, but it seems like they just, engage in fraud. And then I think about, a lot of times people talk about environmental justice. And this is an environmental justice issue because the compressor stations are often like built in lower income, or I call it economically oppressed. I don't even like low income, economically oppressed, racialized communities. And these communities are already essentially being exploited, disproportionate health burden. And in the Franklin Township, the residents are already like alarming about are raising alarms about air quality and safety. It's like, dumping it for people who have the least amount of power. But I always have a problem with the phrase environmental justice because in my own head I feel like isn't like all of environmental movement justice? Like, why do we segregate? Why are we also like racializing the
Yeah.
different parts of the environment? Like, how do we keep segregating stuff over and over again? I'm like, this whole idea that oh well, this is environmental justice for Black people, and this is environmental justice for white people, or and I'm just kind of like in my own head if we thought of the environment of all sharing, I think we have a lot of this idea that we can just send this somewhere else or send the pollution somewhere else and it doesn't really matter. And the thing is that that's going to eventually kill all of us. The climate crisis doesn't care what your cultural background is. It doesn't care about it doesn't care about your cultural background. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your political lines. And we see now, when places like the Williams Transco organization, they're going to be able to make money, and they're going to be able to make that money to fund propaganda and media to literally talk about how we need to have, how we need to have gas, how we need to have natural gas, how we need to have fossil fuels. It's going to be a continuous, every time we allow this kind of stuff to happen, we allow the propaganda that forwards racism, forwards the environmental harm. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the reason why we have to have, these homes, like, while we're heating homes, or we're heating homes in like New York, okay, we still need that. But also in Long Island is because we have the situation where we want to have extra so that we can keep people separated from each other. It's not really the case in this situation, but I think about the way we're building now in regards to the climate crisis. I feel like again we're again creating sprawl. We're creating conditions that we create sprawl by using this. I'm not even call it easier, but using this way that we've done it, this traditional way, because this is what we've always done, and because the Williams Foundation, not foundation, the Williams company want to continue to make money. So I'm just like, I don't know, it's really very, very stressing to me, and I don't know what else you want to add to that.
And I find it really like, they say, oh, like alternative energy sources aren't viable, blah, 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 like, or they put it on the person to be individually responsible to make their homes more efficient. Well, why aren't these multi-billion, almost trillion-dollar now corporations helping to fund energy efficient home changes in communities, buildings, like all of these changes over to solar energy, wind energy? Why aren't they investing in that? Like, why aren't they investing in the future? Why are they still grasping so tightly and clinging to the past?
And then they talk about the pipeline was like often was pitched as a way to cover peak days of high demands and cold weather. But, people are saying that, if like as we said earlier, like the heat pumps and electrification and efficiency upgrades can meet those demands without this new fossil fuel build out. And I like how you keep calling it the zombie the zombie line. It just keeps coming back. Like we just can't get rid of it. And so the company frames it as, oh, we're keeping the lights on, we're keeping the heat running, but it's really like maintaining the market share for fossil fuel in a region that is trying to decarbonize. I think this is a problem I have, that this is not about the fact that they care about keeping the lights on. This is about the fact of maintaining their market in the fossil fuel industry so they can continue to force this kind of energy use and actually stop us. Like now they're viewing this current administration as their opportunity to get their hooks back into New York and the New York metro area. New York is one of the more sustainable places. I know people don't really believe that. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, New York City proper, is actually very sustainable. It's one of the most sustainable places because the people's energy use is so low. So if anywhere electrification and retrogrades could work, since this heating is going to New York, the reason why it's ridiculous because the area is so small. people are already doing upgrades. They're already flattening their need for this fossil fuel. So this to me is not it's not even it's malicious. It's evil. It's like they know this is their only chance to get their hooks back up into New York City, and they're taking this opportunity. And I'm confused as to um why Murphy is allowing, I don't know if he's allowing this, but like, entertaining this idea again. This whole like let's play games and like let's do some negotiations. We can't negotiate anymore with the climate crisis. We can this is a non-negotiable. And I don't understand what um this games that these games that people are playing. I'm confused.
The 500,000 people that rely on the Raritan Bay for their work, livelihood, and well-being are non-negotiable in terms of what is going to happen to them if the Raritan Bay is dredged like this. You cannot keep those toxic sediments from entering the Raritan Bay again. And that will, in effect, harm all of New Jersey and then the New York City metro area.
Yeah, this is not like, oh, well, it's just, this little borderline right here. And the thing is that, people are tapped in regards to we're already doing a regressive tax, like regressive in regards to making people who are poor pay more for this infrastructure. Because these landlords and people are going to like, raise the rent on people in order to make, do rate hikes in order to pay for this construction. And the thing is that, we're already paying for, I think, I don't mind the electric car subsidy, but I also feel that a lot of that money could also be going to public transit. It could also be going to bike lanes. Um, kind of veering off a little bit. Uh, a car is $50,000 now. A new
You-
car is $50,000, and so
Yeah.
it is really, very. It's amazing that people think that that is a fair exchange. We need to really have, you know, um, subsidies and taxes that are fair. We overburden people who are doing their share, who are living small, who are, taking public transit, and we punish them by putting all these fees on them and giving things away to these big corporations.
And the corporations aren't really putting into anything back into the environment or the city spaces or public transit spaces or anything like that either. And a lot of this, like the push for power demand, really, like when they're putting it on households, cooking, keeping the lights on, really what they're saying is Silicon Valley tech needs more power for their AI that they're forcing down our throats. And we need to put this pipeline through to supply power for AI.
And I think that that's a really interesting, when we're saying, oh, we're using it to power buildings, we're using it to power this, that, and the other commercial property. What else are we using it to power? We're not using it to power AI? This is something I kind of was, entertaining, but I didn't really get a chance to really explore. But there's something about me in my own head. I can't help but think, does this have anything to do with AI? Does this have anything to do with, oh, even if it's like, okay, we have these facilities, and these facilities need to stay cool, right? And these AI facilities, they need to stay cool and things like that. So I mean, I don't know how this works, but I'm assuming that's going to be a big corporation, and in order for AI to work, these buildings, they need to stay cool. So this is where a lot of this energy use may also be coming from. And again, I'm not an expert in this, so I'll have to like, that could be wrong. We'll look that up and see. And we'll do a retraction if that's not the case. But I'm thinking these buildings need to be cool. I'm thinking like AI, all this equipment needs to be cooled. And this could be one of the things they're like, we could do this really fast. Because the thing is that the renewable energy is going to be slower. It's going to take longer. And this is something that I'm always in the back of my mind. It's even in the back of our minds in regards to the development in West Orange, which we'll get to that later. Um, so with that, like, what do we do? Like, what can we do in order um, to prevent this? Like, are they? I know they're accepting comments, correct, or something like that, or.
Yes, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, maybe we can link it below for our listeners. They're accepting public comments. Written comments must be submitted within 15 days of the close of public hearing, which means that your comments must be submitted by September 25th, 2025. Speaking up about something like this is very critical. Citizen pressure has stopped this zombie pipeline twice before, and it absolutely can again. The Environmental Protection Agency needs to hear your public comments. So it's a quick email, and you can do it very easily.
Yeah, and with that, we're wrapping it up, but I think this is really something that we need to talk about a lot, and also something that we need to I think it's something also is interesting is that we need to have the climate crisis news about the climate crisis needs to be something that everybody is accessing, that everybody is getting information on. The environmental movement is still very insular. And if we want to get people to be involved, we have to actually include everybody in the messaging, in the outreach. They've done data. Yale, the climate communications group, they did data and they said that communities of color, Black, Latino, Asian American communities are very into the environment. They very much view it as the climate crisis is an important part of what we discuss. But, I mean, an important part of our of our world. But it's very bizarre. It's like these environmental groups still seem like they're just only talking to the certain people. And the thing is why this is a problem is that how are we going to get outreach? How are we going to get people to rally around to stop these kinds of projects? It's I don't know what my whole point was, but we need to start broadening our message and talking to a wider audience. Those of us who care about the climate crisis.
Well, and I think also, like I think that like we can also reframe things and talk about like my husband and I talked about like in the like 70s and 80s, like using the word pollution was very effective. Like I think unfortunately climate crisis has gotten like a political lean to it, which it should not have because it affects everyone and will affect everyone. But like pollution was a very effective message. Littering was a very effective message. Like using like messaging like that when talking to people instead of focusing on like the buzzwords that people shy away from can be helpful when you're communicating with others.
And another thing I think is really important is like, showing people the reason why we care about these things. Oh, look, we care about our beautiful lakes and our beautiful rivers and our beautiful oceans. We care about the people who live there. We care about the air that we breathe. We care about our little animals and we care about all these great we just care about all these things. I think that focusing on things that we care the reason why we want these things to change is because we want to keep things that we care about alive. And I think that that's yeah. So I mean, yeah, and I did kind of look up something, and they did say that this will have some kind of connection to the Williams it will have something, I think it's connected to some kind of Power Express project. But I got to look this up though. But it's saying something about the Express project and how it's going to connect to certain AI centers. So this might be, and we'll look into that more. We'll have to actually we'll have to actually do a follow up and see because see what happens on the September 25th, and we'll be looking at the AI angle to see if this is actually something that we really should be concerned about, which we should be, but especially in regards to this pipeline.
I think we need to remember in New Jersey how important the Raritan Bay is to New Jersey, to, like our ecosystem, to people's work life, to people's well-being. Like if you enjoy going down the shore, like the Raritan Bay is part of the reason why you enjoy going down the shore. Like, and the Superfund site being cleaned up in the Raritan Bay is part of the reason why you can still continue going down the shore. So think about your children and the summers you want to have with them on the boardwalks.
That's right. They're fun. They're fun times. And you could take your cats there. No, I don't know if you can take cats. Anyway,
Oh, you
that's
can. Somebody had a wolf this summer. Why can't you take a cat?
oh my God. Simone would be like, "Are you insane? Why am I here? Why you have me here? Are there cocktails?" I was like, "Are there cocktails for me?" No, that's just me. I think that's me talking through Simone. Anyway, with that, let's wrap. We're gonna wrap this up, and thank you all for listening. Please subscribe and keep sharing our podcast with your friends.
Thank you so much.